Hello everyone, before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. Stop her. The shout cracks through the hotel lobby like glass dropped on marble, sharp, public, impossible to ignore. Conversations die mid-laugh. A flute of champagne freezes halfway to someone's mouth. Under the chandelier's warm glow, the polished stone floor looks like a stage, and the people standing on it don't realize they're about to become witnesses. Nia Carter stands at the velvet rope that guards the VIP elevator corridor. Navy housekeeping uniform. White collar crisp. Hair pulled back tight. Her posture is the kind of control that comes from years of learning the same lesson: when the world is already looking for a reason, don't give it one. Her hands stay visible. Calm. One holds a small canvas bag, soft-sided, ordinary, the kind staff carry every day. But the way security looks at it turns the bag into a confession they haven't earned. Ryan Holt, head of hotel security, approaches with two guards flanking him. Tall. Broad shoulders. An earpiece pressed tight, like authority lives inside it. He doesn't walk so much as advance, a man convinced control and safety are the same thing. "Ma'am," Ryan calls out, loud enough for the entire lobby to hear. "Stop right there." Nia doesn't run. Doesn't flinch. She turns slowly, steady as a metronome. "Yes?" Ryan's eyes flick to her uniform, then to her face, then to the VIP corridor behind her, like the combination itself offends him. "Housekeeping uses the service entrance," he says. "You know that." "I'm here for work," Nia replies, voice even, posture professional. Ryan's mouth twitches. Not a smile. Something colder. "Work," he repeats. "Right. And you're headed to VIP elevators, with a bag." One guard angles his body to block the corridor. Another steps half a pace closer. Subtle containment, just enough to make her feel cornered without giving the crowd a reason to call it violence. Nia glances across the lobby. Guests in tailored suits. Women in evening dresses with perfume that floats like money. The concierge desk gleaming under gold trim. A bell cart shining like it belongs in a museum. Everything expensive. Everything polished. And underneath it all, something practiced and familiar. Suspicion. Quiet. Normal. "I have authorization," Nia says. "From who?" Ryan asks too quickly. Too eager. Not searching for an answer, searching for permission to disbelieve. "It's on record," Nia says. Ryan's gaze drops to her bag. "What's in there?" "My personal items." His voice sharpens, careful to sound like policy while broadcasting accusation. "We've had reported losses tonight. Guests missing property. If you're staff, you'll cooperate." A man nearby, silver hair, heavy watch, murmurs like a verdict. Unbelievable. In a place like this. A woman in pearls covers her mouth, eyes wide, not with concern, more like she's been handed a free show. Nia's jaw tightens by a millimeter. "You can escort me to your office," she says. "Private. With a witness. Document it." Ryan's nostrils flare. "No. If you're clean, you won't mind." He nods at the bag. "Open it." Nia doesn't move. She doesn't argue. She simply holds his gaze like a mirror. "If you touch my property without cause," she says, "you're creating liability." The word liability doesn't land like a threat. It lands like someone who knows exactly what it means. A guard behind Ryan shifts, uneasy. "Sir, we can escort her to the security office." Quietly. But Ryan is already committed to the performance. "No," he snaps. "If she's clean, she won't mind. And if she's not, everyone deserves to see." That is the moment it stops being security. It becomes theater. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change. And we're glad you're here. Now, back to Nia. Nia's eyes sweep the lobby, faces hungry for scandal, not for truth. She inhales once, slow. This is why she came dressed like this. Not for disguise. For data. Ryan reaches for the bag strap. Not yanking yet, testing. A small tug, like he's checking whether she'll resist so he can justify force. Nia's voice stays level. "Put your hands off me." He tugs again. And then the VIP elevator chimes. A clean, polite sound. Like the building itself has cleared its throat. The mirrored doors slide open. A man steps out in a black suit, white shirt open at the collar. Dark beard cut sharp. A tattoo climbs his neck like a warning written in ink. He moves with the calm of someone who doesn't ask permission in rooms built to deny it. The air changes instantly. Phones lower without anyone realizing they lowered them. Conversations die. Even Ryan's posture shifts, respect arriving before his pride can stop it. "Mr. Kane," Ryan says, suddenly careful. The man doesn't look at Ryan first. He looks at Nia. Not like she's a maid. Like he knows exactly who she is. His gaze slides to the guard holding her wrist. Then his voice lands, quiet, controlled, and cold enough to slow the room's pulse. "Let her go." The guard releases Nia immediately. Nia doesn't rub her wrist. Doesn't step back like a frightened employee. She simply stands where she is, shoulders square, eyes steady, like the marble beneath her shoes belongs to her as much as it belongs to anyone in the room. Ryan tries to recover his posture in the same breath he lost it. "Mr. Kane," he says, voice suddenly smooth, suddenly professional. "We're handling a security matter." Viktor Kane's expression doesn't change. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't threaten. He simply asks the question that makes power reveal itself. "What matter," he says, "requires a spectacle." "Reported theft," Ryan answers. "Guests missing items." She was entering a restricted corridor without authorization. Nia speaks without turning her head. "I said I have authorization." A woman emerges from behind the concierge desk. Elena Shaw. Front office manager. Perfect hair. Perfect blazer. A smile designed to hide teeth. "What's going on?" Elena asks, already knowing. Her eyes land on Nia's uniform and stay there 1 second too long. Ryan straightens, grateful for management beside him. "Housekeeping employee," he says. "Attempting access to VIP floors. Refusing a bag check." Elena's smile sharpens. A bag check is standard procedure. Nia finally looks at her, and it feels like a spotlight swings. Standard, Nia echoes softly. Or selective. Elena's cheeks tighten, then smooth again. Ma'am, we have protocols. If you're staff, you'll understand. Viktor's gaze flicks from Elena to Ryan, then briefly to the velvet rope. How many protocols begin with grabbing someone's wrist in front of paying guests? Ryan's eyes flash. We didn't hurt her. Viktor's head tilts. That's your defense? His voice stays quiet. That you didn't hurt her enough? The lobby goes colder, not in temperature, in tone. Elena lifts her hands in a peaceful gesture made of polished arrogance. Mr. Kane, we value your comfort here. But our responsibility is guest safety. If someone refuses inspection, we escort them to the security office. Private. Standard. Nia's voice cuts through the sugar. Private was an option before you made it public. Elena blinks. Excuse me? You don't get to move this to a quiet room now, Nia says. Not after you used the lobby as your stage. Elena tries the next shield. Reputation. Ma'am, you have to understand, brand. My reputation is not your brand, Nia cuts in. The sentence lands like a door closing. Guests shift uncomfortably. Because the mirror is pointed at them too. Ryan keys his radio, voice tight. Get the general manager to the lobby immediately, he says. This is executive level. Elena snaps, Ryan. He ignores her. Because now he understands what he did. He turned a lobby into a courtroom. And the judge just arrived wearing a uniform he dismissed. Viktor's eyes stay on Ryan. Freeze the lobby, Viktor says. 2 words. Not shouted. Not dramatic. But the effect is immediate. The security guards straighten. The side doors to the VIP corridor close quietly. Staff move with purpose, no panic, just obedience. The main entrance stays open, guests can leave whenever they choose. Guests look around, confused. Freeze, someone whispers. Viktor doesn't explain. Because men like him don't explain. They decide. Nia watches the doors close. Not trapped. Protected. And for the first time tonight, the containment is protecting her, not accusing her. The general manager arrives fast. A man in an expensive suit, breathless, eyes wide. He steps out of the elevator like his whole career is dangling from the ceiling. His posture snaps into corporate caution the moment he sees Nia. Miss Carter, he says, voice trembling with recognition. I didn't know you were coming. The words hit the lobby like thunder without sound. Not because they're loud. Because they confirm what everyone's eyes refuse to believe. Nia Carter isn't a maid who wandered too close to VIP. She is the reason VIP exists. The GM swallows hard, glancing at Ryan, then Elena, then, carefully, Viktor. Miss Carter, he repeats, softer. Had we known. That is the point, Nia says. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't smile. She doesn't perform satisfaction. She lets the silence do the exposing. Elena's face drains. Ryan's throat works like he's trying to swallow the room. A guest whispers, stunned, "That's the CEO?" Another whispers back, "Then who is he?" Eyes flick to Viktor. Because everyone knows his name. Not from a Forbes article. From a different kind of rumor. The kind whispered by people who think the world runs on fear. Viktor Kane stands still, hands relaxed at his sides, like he has all the time in the world and no need to prove it. He looks at the GM. "Tell them," Viktor says. The GM clears his throat. Ms. Carter is the principal owner of the investment group that holds controlling interest in this property. A pause. And then, in a voice that sounds like surrender. "She's the CEO." The lobby doesn't erupt. It collapses inward. Because the humiliation didn't belong to Nia. It belonged to everyone who watched and assumed. Nia steps forward into the open space between rope and concierge desk, reclaiming the center without changing her tone. "This hotel has employees treated like disposable labor," she says. "And management that calls discrimination standard." She looks at Ryan. "You grabbed my wrist." She looks at Elena. "You approved it." She looks at the GM. "And you benefited from the silence that kept it hidden." The GM stammers. "Ms. Carter, we don't tolerate." Nia lifts her hand. Not aggressive. Not dramatic. A simple stop. "Don't offer me the script," she says. "Offer me the system." She turns to the crowd. "And don't offer me you're shocked now. If you filmed this, keep the footage. Don't delete it. It's evidence of who you were." A man lowers his phone like it's suddenly hot. Nia's gaze drifts to the guard who held her wrist. "Name?" The guard swallows. "Caleb." "Caleb," Nia says. "You're relieved from duty, effective immediately. You'll file an incident report before you leave. No missing details. If you lie, you'll be terminated for falsifying documentation." Caleb nods, pale. Nia looks at Ryan. "And you," she says. Ryan tries to speak. I was." "You were sure," Nia says. "That's the danger." She turns to the GM. "Get your HR lead. Get legal. Now. And pull the footage from every camera covering this lobby and this corridor for the last 30 days. Copy it. Preserve it. If anything disappears, I will assume intent." The GM nods too fast. "Yes. Yes, ma'am." Elena steps forward quickly, voice warm and emergency sweet. "Ms. Carter, we can take this upstairs. Private lounge. We'll handle it internally." "No," Nia says. Elena blinks. "Excuse me?" "You don't get to hide the harm," Nia replies. "Not after you displayed it." Elena's smile fractures. "Ms. Carter, please, you have to understand this will damage the hotel." Viktor's voice slides in, almost gentle. "Good," he says. Elena turns, startled. Viktor doesn't raise his voice. He simply meets her eyes. "Some buildings don't deserve peace until they earn it," he says. The GM looks like he's about to faint. Nia steps closer to Elena. You wanted to teach me a lesson tonight, Nia says. Here's yours. Dignity is not a perk. It's a requirement. Elena's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. Because there is no version of this where she can talk her way out of what the lobby watched. Nia turns to Ryan again. Why did you do it? Ryan's eyes dart. I'm responsible for safety, he says. That's a job, Nia answers. Not a personality. He flinches. I had reports, he insists. Guests said things were missing. And your first instinct, Nia says, was to look for a suspect who fit your imagination. Ryan's jaw tightens. I didn't. You didn't need to say it, Nia replies. You did it with your hands. The GM's phone vibrates. He looks down and pales. Corporate counsel has responded. Fast. Because Nia Carter's name makes people move. Nia speaks to the GM without looking away from Ryan. Conference room, she says. Now. Staff. Security. Management. Paid. Mandatory. Food provided. Chairs in a circle, not rows. No stage. The GM nods. Yes, ma'am. Nia's gaze shifts to the velvet rope. The rope stays, she says. Not as a barrier for class. As a boundary for procedure. The people who deserve protection tonight are the ones wearing uniforms. Her eyes move across the lobby, housekeeping staff hovering near doorways, bellmen pretending they're busy, a front desk clerk standing still like she's afraid to breathe. Nia meets their eyes. Go back to your stations, she tells them, voice softer but no less firm. You didn't do anything wrong. A bellman's shoulders drop, like the sentence releases a weight he didn't know he'd been carrying. Viktor steps beside Nia, close enough that the room feels the alliance. You okay? He asks, quietly. Nia doesn't look at her wrist. She looks at the people. Not yet, she says. Then she walks. Not fast. Not fleeing. Just moving forward. The lobby parts without anyone instructing it to. Because power is not volume. It's gravity. You freeze non-essential operations. In the conference room off the lobby, the mood shifts. No chandeliers. Just fluorescent light and a long table. But this is where systems live. And tonight, systems are on trial. The GM tries to begin with apologies. We're so sorry, Ms. Carter, this was a misunderstanding. Nia cuts him off. Don't call a pattern a misunderstanding, she says. It's disrespect wearing paperwork. She gestures to the wall-mounted screen. Pull the footage. A manager fumbles with the remote. A feed appears. And there it is. Ryan's hand on her wrist. Elena watching. The crowd filming. A guest smirking. Every second archived. Elena tries to steady her voice. We have to protect the guests, she says. Then protect them, Nia answers. From actual threats. Not from your assumptions. She points at the footage. Why was the bag check public? Elena's eyes flick. It's standard procedure. Nia's voice stays calm. Show me the written procedure, she says. Silence. Because it's not written. It's practiced. Viktor leans back in his chair, watching Elena like he's memorizing her. Elena, he says, casually. She looks at him, forced to acknowledge his presence. Viktor's tone doesn't change. You're good at hiding behind the word standard, he says. So tell me, who benefits from your standard? Elena's throat works. We benefit from safety, she insists. No, Viktor replies. You benefit from control. Nia sets a folder on the table. A thin folder. It doesn't look like much. But the way the GM flinches at it tells the truth. This is an operational audit, Nia says. Unannounced. Ryan blinks. Audit. Nia's gaze lands on him. Yes, she says. An audit of behavior. Of policy. Of who gets suspected and who gets protected. She slides the folder toward the GM. Open it. The GM opens it with shaking hands. Inside are printed screenshots. Time-stamped messages. Elena advising Ryan. Elena recommending tightening access, making an example, keeping certain people out. Not written in slurs. Written in corporate language. The kind that can ruin lives while pretending it's neutral. Ryan's face drains. Elena's mouth opens. That's out of context, she says. Nia's voice stays quiet. There is no context where that becomes acceptable, she replies. Elena tries a different tactic. She turns to the GM. Sir, you know we've had issues. We've had complaints. I was just protecting the brand, Nia finishes for her. At the cost of the people who keep it alive. Nia leans forward. Here's what happens next, she says. She doesn't threaten. She outlines. Because a system hears outlines. Ryan, she says. You are suspended pending investigation. You will cooperate with a third-party review. If you attempt retaliation, you will be terminated. If you lie, you will be terminated. If you blame your team, you will be terminated. Ryan's lips part. He swallows. Yes, ma'am, he says. Nia turns to Elena. Elena Shaw, she says. You are relieved of your duties effective immediately. Elena jolts. You can't. I can, Nia replies. The GM tries to speak. Ms. Carter, we need due process. You had due process, Nia says, when you had the chance to treat your employees like people. Elena's voice rises. This is ridiculous. You're humiliating me. Nia's eyes don't change. You're experiencing consequence in the same room you demanded spectacle, she says. That's not humiliation. That's symmetry. Viktor's voice comes soft. Pack your things, he tells Elena. Security will escort you. Elena snaps her head toward him. You don't own this hotel. Viktor's lips curve faintly. Not alone, he says. The GM stares at his own hands like he suddenly doesn't know what to do with them. Nia continues. Tomorrow morning, she says, there will be a paid staff assembly. Housekeeping. Kitchen. Front desk. Bell staff. Security. Everyone. Chairs in a circle. No stage. No hierarchy. She looks at the GM. You will attend, she says. And you will listen. Not to defend yourself. To learn what your silence cost. The GM nods. Yes, ma'am. Nia's voice stays controlled. And there will be new policy, she says. Written. Signed. Dated. Posted. A third-party reporting line. An escalation ladder. Documentation standards for any search or check. Privacy requirements. And consequences. She pauses. Because what happened tonight wasn't about me, she says. Ryan looks up. Nia's eyes stay steady. I have a title, she says. I have lawyers. I have leverage. Her voice lowers. Most of your employees don't. That sentence sits in the room like a weight nobody can lift. Outside the conference room, the lobby is still. Not frozen by fear. Frozen by realization. Somewhere, someone posts a 30-second clip, a uniformed black woman held at the velvet rope. A tattooed man stepping out of the VIP elevator. 2 words, let her go, making grown men flinch. The caption writes itself. By sunrise, it isn't a rumor. It's a clip in group chats, a muted replay on office monitors, a conversation that makes people shift uncomfortably not because they love justice, but because they recognize themselves in the crowd that watched. The hotel's PR statement goes out before breakfast. Values, review, commitment, polished and hollow. Nia doesn't fight it publicly. She fights it structurally. That morning, she returns in a charcoal suit that fits like intention. Same face, same eyes, only now no one can pretend they don't recognize power. She orders the staff assembly in a conference room off the lobby. Mandatory. Paid. Food provided. Chairs in a circle. No stage. No hierarchy. Printed packets wait on every chair, new policy, employee rights, third-party reporting line, disciplinary guidelines. Signed. Dated. Real. Ryan sits in the back, shoulders pulled inward, a man trying to decide who he is after being forced to meet himself. The GM sits beside him. Not elevated. Just present. Nia stands, not at a podium. In the circle. I'm not here to punish people into silence, she says. I'm here to build a place where silence isn't required for survival. She gestures to the packets. Read it, she says. Then tell me what's missing. Hands rise slowly at first. Not because people don't have stories. Because fear takes time to unlearn. A bellman speaks about guests snapping fingers like staff aren't human. A front desk clerk admits managers praised employees who kept certain people out. A kitchen worker confesses he stopped reporting abuse because he couldn't afford retaliation. Nia takes notes herself. Not because she doesn't trust anyone else. Because the act matters. The CEO taking notes while the least protected people speak. Ryan stands when it's his turn. His voice is rough. I thought I was doing my job, he says. But I was choosing who looked suspicious before they did anything. The room goes still. Nia doesn't humiliate him. She doesn't comfort him into innocence either. She holds him accountable with clarity. Then you'll spend the next 6 months undoing that, she says. Training. Policy work. Daily behavior. You don't get forgiveness from me. You earn trust from them. Ryan nods. Understood. Elena Shaw isn't there. Her access has been revoked. Accounts locked out. Schedule permissions removed. HR and legal document everything: message logs, footage, patterns, staff statements. Elena tries to spin it: calls to contacts, drafts of a post about being targeted. It doesn't land. Because timestamps land first. Because evidence lands first. Because, for once, people in uniforms are believed. By afternoon, Elena's termination is official. Not celebrated. Not romanticized. Handled like a breach of professional conduct, except this breach had been wrapped in privilege for too long. Then Nia orders something quieter, something that matters more than a headline. A repair fund. Not charity. Repair. A compensation pool reviewed by a third-party investigator for employees who experienced discriminatory treatment, past incidents included. Paid counseling support. Back pay for unpaid time lost to random checks. Career pathways that don't require someone to be palatable to deserve advancement. When the GM asks what it will cost, Nia answers without blinking. Less than the cost of letting it continue. Subtle changes appear in the lobby within days. Signs posted: employee dignity is non-negotiable. Security checks are conducted privately with documented cause. Harassment results in removal. Security body cams become standard: logged, stored, audited. The velvet rope still stands, but it feels different. Not a barrier for class. A boundary for fairness. Guests return and find the air colder in one way and warmer in another: cold to entitlement, warm to humanity. Viktor watches the change from a distance, not seeking credit. They'll call it a PR nightmare, he says one evening when he meets Nia near the elevator. Nia's eyes stay steady. Good, she replies. Nightmares wake people up. A week later, the lobby looks the same to strangers: chandeliers still glittering, marble still shining, concierge still smiling. But to the people who lived that night, it's a different building. Because the air remembers. The staff remembers. And the systems, quiet, invisible, powerful, have been forced to change. Ryan remains, by choice, under scrutiny. He attends trainings that don't flatter him. He helps draft protocols with an external consultant. He stands in front of the same staff he embarrassed and says the only sentence that matters. I was wrong. No dramatic tears. No performative redemption. Just work. The GM keeps his job, but not his comfort. He reports directly to Nia's office for 90 days. Every complaint, every incident, every check is logged and reviewed. The hotel's reputation takes a hit online, yes. Then something stranger happens. Employees begin recommending the place. Not because it's luxurious. Because it's safer. Because, for once, the people who make the luxury possible are no longer treated like disposable decor. On a quiet evening, Nia walks through the lobby again. This time in a tailored coat over a suit: clean lines, calm power. Not to prove anything. Just to pass through. A new guard stands near the velvet rope. He sees her approach and doesn't stare. Doesn't assume. Doesn't hunt for a reason. He steps aside and holds the rope open with a respectful nod. Good evening, Ms. Carter. It isn't worship. It's normal. And that, more than applause, is the victory. Nia pauses at the exact spot where her wrist was held. For a second, she lets herself feel it, the humiliation that tried to crawl under her skin, the anger she refused to feed, the quiet ache of knowing how many people don't have the option to reveal a title to stop the harm. She looks across the lobby at the staff. A housekeeper laughs softly with a bellman. A front desk clerk helps a guest without fear tightening her shoulders. A security officer speaks to an employee with real respect, eye level, calm tone, documented procedure. Nia doesn't need a grand finale. She needs proof. The elevator doors open behind her. Viktor steps out, moving with the same unhurried certainty. He joins her without announcement. You came back, he says. I never left, Nia replies. Viktor's gaze sweeps the lobby, measuring the new posture of the room. They'll try to drift back, he says. People always do. Nia nods once. Then we keep the standard, she says. A guest approaches, awkward, cautious. Miss Carter, he says, I saw the video. I'm sorry. Nia holds his gaze, calm and unflinching. I don't need your guilt, she says. I need your behavior. The guest nods, chastened. Nia turns toward the doors. She walks out of the lobby the same way she walked in. Not begging. Not performing. Not shrinking. Just moving through a space that tried to make her small and failed. And the lesson the hotel can't scrub away is simple, permanent, and painfully obvious now. Luxury isn't the chandelier. It's how you treat the people who clean under it.